Number 1.
Carla Roberson, 19, had just finished a busy sophomore year at Huntingdon College and needed to relax. She hopped in her 1983 pink Chevette and drove to Florida to stay with Ralph and Nell Roberson, an uncle and aunt who resided in Pensacola. Once in Pensacola, she had planned to visit a male friend who had graduated from Huntingdon and soak up some sun on a beach before her return to Montgomery for summer classes and a part-time job in a doctor's office. On Tuesday, May 8, 1984, Roberson and Nell Roberson went to Magic Market together, and Roberson bought Heineken beer, soft drinks, and gas. Roberson told her aunt that she wanted to stop by Cordova Mall to buy a book to read on the beach and return to her house by 5 or 5:30 p.m. Roberson never returned home. She was last seen around 1 p.m. wearing a bright red one-piece swimming suit near Fort Pickens. Later that night, beach deputies noticed a car parked at the Gulfside picnic spot near the entrance to Fort Pickens. It was Carla's. The deputies searched the area and found Roberson's purse, shoes, and towel on the beach and one set of footprints leading to the water. Authorities spent 10 days combing 15 miles of beaches and sea for Roberson but found nothing. They presumed she had drowned in the Gulf of Mexico. But Roberson's family said she was a good swimmer. Her watch and high school class ring were missing, and her brother, Michael Roberson, said she would never have gone swimming wearing both items. She would have taken them off and put them in her purse. Michael Roberson did not believe someone stole them because her wallet, a small sum of money, and car keys were found in her purse. Investigators checked with all the local pawn shops for the missing items but came up empty. Other than those items, the police had no leads in Roberson's disappearance. They believed someone would have witnessed an abduction take place because others were on the same beach that day. The area was a highly populated area of the beach. Furthermore, according to one investigator, the water was rough and the conditions were right for undertow or riptide. The probability is that she went into the water, said homicide detective Rhett Smith in late May 1984, but we have no evidence to support it. But Roberson's cousin, Mark Roberson, stated that the water was between 60 and 65 degrees and too cold for swimming. He did not believe she would have swum in the cold water. Roberson's mother, Gladys Roberson, never believed her daughter drowned. She always swam with a tube, and that tube was found in her car. Gladys believed her daughter left with someone she knew, perhaps the male friend she had planned on visiting. Was he with her at the beach? Roberson has never been found, and Gladys Roberson has since passed away. Between 1982 and 1992, several young women, including Carla Roberson, went missing or were murdered in Escambia County, Florida. Ruby L. Britton, 24, of Pensacola was stabbed to death on January 9, 1982. Her badly decomposed body was discovered on February 14, 1982. No further information is available, but it was still an unsolved case in May 1995. Leanne Dozier, also known as Leanne Clark, 27, was found murdered in a wooded area near the Pfeiffer Cemetery on Marlane Drive on September 12, 1982. Tanya E. McKinley, 23, was found strangled to death on January 1, 1985, in an empty lot at the corner of Peacock Drive and Creighton Road, just 1 block off Scenic Highway. She had also been raped. In March 2020, Pensacola police arrested 57-year-old Daniel Leonard Wells of Pensacola for her murder. 2 weeks later, Wells hung himself in his jail cell. Patricia Lynn Stevens, 29, was found dead on March 1, 1985, in a wooded area west of the intersection of North Blue Angel Parkway and West Michigan Avenue. Manner of death was ruled a homicide. Her case is still unsolved. Tavia Elizabeth Bailey, 15, of Pensacola, disappeared on December 31, 1985. She has never been found. Vernice Wilburn, 14, of Pensacola, was found dead on August 18, 1986, in the woods on the northwest corner of Olive Road and Sears Boulevard. She had been missing for 4 days. No additional information could be found on her murder. Mary Elizabeth Plavnik, 25, of Pensacola, disappeared on April 9, 1987, and has never been found. Tammy Rich, 25, of Pensacola was stabbed to death on January 25, 1988, in her Pensacola home. 8 years later, in early 1996, police arrested and charged Lloyd Salter, 36, with her murder, but they dismissed the charges 7 months later when DNA testing showed blood at the murder scene was not his or the victim's blood. Kelly Sims, 19, of Pensacola was found stabbed to death on October 21, 1988, in a wooded area southwest off Pinestead and Hampton Roads. She was last seen earlier that day. Tabitha K. Warford, 19, of Pensacola disappeared from her home on May 5, 1990. She has never been found. Melissa Lineck, 15, of Pensacola, disappeared on June 25, 1992, after leaving her boyfriend's house in the 1700 block of Blakely Avenue. She has never been found. Joanna K. Otto, 15, of Pensacola, was last seen on November 20, 1992. James Earl Gibson, then 27 years old, gave Joanna a ride home after a party. She has not been seen since. Gibson is a possible suspect in her disappearance and likely murder. Could any of these cases be connected to Carla's?
Number 2.
When a toddler goes missing under mysterious circumstances, most investigative agencies exhaust all efforts. The extent to which authorities in Austin, Texas, searched for 2-year-old Tanisha Watkins is unclear, but the little girl has been missing for decades without any regular updates shared with the public. It was just a few days after the New Year celebrations when little Tanisha Watkins vanished on January 5, 1984. This tragic story began that winter afternoon around 1:30 p.m. when Tanisha was reportedly playing outside of her home. Tanisha and her mother lived with the mother's grandmother in a mobile home in southeast Austin. The toddler was reportedly playing on a swing in the front yard as her mother was sweeping their rugs inside of the home. Tanisha Watkins was left unattended, but her mother could see her from inside. However, while cleaning, she took her eyes away from Tanisha for just a few minutes, and when she looked back toward the yard, the little girl was gone. Panicked, the mother searched for her daughter with a neighbor for approximately 2 hours before contacting the authorities. Investigators are said to have spoken with a witness who claimed on the day Tanisha went missing, they saw her walking on Riverside Drive with a man who was described as having a slender build, a beard, and wearing a green army hat. However, a search of the area did not turn up any evidence that was helpful in locating little Tanisha Watkins. There have been questions about this bearded man over the years, and some reports state that he was never mentioned in news reports about this case back in the 1980s. The blog True Crime Diva claimed that this alleged suspect was never mentioned in early news reports, and it wasn't until 2001 that this information was shared. At the time of her disappearance, Tanisha Watkins stood 3 feet tall and weighed 42 pounds. She had dark brown hair and brown eyes. She was last seen wearing a white shirt with red pants and Velcro sneakers. Her middle name is Lorraine, and her hair was styled in braided pigtails. She would be 40 years old at the time of this publication. Tanisha's fingerprints, DNA, and dental records are not on file. Anyone with information about this case is urged to contact the Austin Police Department at 512-974-5250 or their local authorities. The agency case number is 840,02711.
Number 3.
China Rose Sims was originally from the Philippines. She was a beautiful 36-year-old woman who had a good grasp of English. In February 1988, China Rose met and married David Sims, 20 years her senior, through an introduction agency in the Philippines, while David visited on a business trip. The marriage was David's fourth. They returned to the UK and settled in Southend, Essex, about 40 to 50 miles east of London. A man named Geoffrey Potton, a friend of David's, moved in with the couple shortly after. After David's return to the UK, he started using Anthony Peter Lewis in his personal and business life. One of David's business ventures was a buy and sell shop of products from Thailand. According to Esquire magazine Philippines, David and China often flew to Thailand for the shop, but unfortunately, the business did not prosper. David and China Rose were last seen together in Pattaya, Thailand, In 1992, David Sims joined the police in the late 1960s and was considered a popular and trusted officer. He was appointed to the Special Patrol Group, SPG, a group of officers who are the first called to attend public order disputes. SPG has been accused of using excessive force, most notably over the events leading up to the death of 33-year-old Blair Peach at a 1979 Anti-National Front demonstration in Southall. The New Zealand-born teacher was killed during Wittiscale unrest as thousands of protesters for almost 3,000 police deployed to protect the NF's right of assembly in one of the most racially diverse areas of London. More than 700 people were arrested, 345 of them charged, and hundreds more injured. Peach, a special needs teacher, was struck on the head as police charged at him and other protesters on the evening of 23 April 1979. A report compiled soon after by Metropolitan Police Commander John Cass, but only released in 2010, concluded that Peach was almost certainly killed by one of 6 riot police officers who were members of the Special Patrol Group, which was replaced in 1987 by the Territorial Support Group Vivek Chaudhary. The Guardian, April 21, 2019. After David Sims joined the SPG, his personality changed. He started drinking excessively and showed violent tendencies. His 3 previous wives divorced him on the grounds of violent temper tantrums. After leaving the police force, he tried his hand at running a pub, but failed and started a second-hand furniture chain. 5 years into the marriage, China Rose told her sister, Joy, David was becoming more violent. She said he told her he was going to get someone to kill her because it would be cheaper than getting a divorce, Joy said in 2001. In early 1993, China Rose got a part-time job working in a nursing home. Shortly after, she told Joy she feared David, who had abused her regularly, would kill her. She wanted out of the marriage but had nowhere to go. China Rose Sims was last seen at Valentine's Day party in 1993. Reports vary on when David was last seen, from 1 to 3 months after his wife disappeared. Her family does not believe she left on her own. China Rose was devoted to her father, who was seriously ill at the time and has since passed away. She never checked on him or contacted her siblings after her disappearance. For a few years after the disappearances of the Sims, police thought someone had murdered the couple. In 1996, the Philippine Immigration Bureau sent its agents and visiting Essex police officers to arrest Jeffrey Charles Potton at his home in Tacloban City, 370 miles south of Manila, after a month of surveillance. Police found Potton operating a nightclub and living with a Filipino woman. The British Embassy based in Manila requested the Immigration Bureau's help in locating and arresting Potton for the disappearance and alleged murder of David and China Rose Sims. They had received leads he was in the Philippines. Potton denied involvement and told investigators he feared for his life and that heavy characters were responsible for the disappearances of David and China Rose Sims. Potton further said 2 years earlier, David Sims asked him to sell his Southend home and put the money from the sale, nearly £40,000, into a new British bank account in the name of Anthony Peter Lewis, The Guardian reported. Authorities believe he flew to Thailand after speaking with Potton. An unknown man, who claimed to represent David, collected most of the money from the sale. In 2001, £10,000 remained untouched in the bank account. That same year, police announced they were treating China Rose's disappearance as a homicide and focused on David Sims as his wife's killer. It is unclear what happened afterward. Police believe David Sims is either dead or discovered a lucrative, alternative source of income, such as heroin trafficking, and he is hiding out in the Philippines or Thailand. A detective working on the case said in 2001, Sims had connections with the bar business in both Manila and Thailand, and it is possible he may have begun trading in drugs. David Sims might have been killed due to his illegal activities. David Sims has 2 daughters from his first marriage. They were not close to their father, but he always sent them birthday and Christmas cards every year. They had not received any cards between 1993 and 2001, and it is unclear what the status is today. Laura, David's oldest daughter, told The Guardian in 2001, he was a jack of the lat and a bit cocky. He also had a terrible temper. He could well have got himself into trouble. I think he has come to a sticky end.
Number 4.
Not many know where Clarksdale, Mississippi is, but was the home to Phyllis Rome. On June 19, 1993, the weather was beginning to heat up in the deep south, making Red's, also known by the names of Red's Lounge, Red's Juke Joint, Red's Night Spot, Red's Nightclub, and Red's Nightclub, a hotspot for those looking to have a good time. The bar would be the last place anyone would see or hear from Phyllis, who was reportedly deaf and mute. There is little known about Phyllis Rome and her case, but the 22-year-old was reportedly last located at Red's around 8 p.m. Where she could have gone after being at Red's continues to puzzle investigators. Her missing person case has been cold for 15 years, and no new leads have surfaced. According to reports, there were rumors floating around Clarksdale that Phyllis had been murdered and her body was disposed of somewhere in the downtown area of the city. Authorities reportedly searched the area and did not find evidence to support the town gossip. Then, police reportedly made a strange announcement stating that Phyllis was no longer missing, however, she just wasn't home. They claimed that she was spotted at the Coahoma County Courthouse after officials said they recognized her from her photo in the newspaper. However, police would return not long after with yet another announcement, this time declaring that Phyllis was still a missing person. At the time of her disappearance, Phyllis was described as having black dark brown hair and brown eyes. She's short in stature, standing at 5 feet tall and weighing approximately 100 pounds. One of her ears had one piercing, while the other has 3. She also had a nose piercing. Phyllis was last seen wearing a white shirt, light blue shorts with polka dots, and blue socks. Anyone with information about this case is urged to contact the Clarksdale Police Department at 662-621-8157 or their local authorities. The agency case number is 9380MA0004.